Goodness gracious me, here it is Sunday evening, 7 o'clock. Time for the Craig Levitt Show. I am Craig Levitt and welcome you here this evening. I have with me my beautiful wife, Leanne.
Good evening.
She's really got a lot to say today. And we have a special guest, but I'm going to introduce him in just a minute. Got to tell you. About an hour ago, we were driving to the studio, and my wife took a different route than she normally does. Well, of course, I'm pretty well fixed in whatever I mean, if I think I know where I'm going, I'm cement.
He generally doesn't know where he's going, and I drive.
And that's why she drives. And so she turned left, and I said, no, we got to turn right. I mean, we came off. I saw Durango. I knew that was where I was supposed to be. And I said, you turn right. We came off 215. Got to go right. And she says, no, we go left. And I says, no, we go right, because I've been doing this for like 8 weeks. And she says, no, we go left. And so she kept driving down Durango until it turned into Rampart. I do not understand this. And Rampart, I said, no, it's on Durango. We're going the wrong way. She says, no, we're not. Just be patient. I'll get you there. I says, no, you can't.
I said, stay calm. We'll get there. Trust me. Trust me.
She's like a bumblebee.
Homing pigeon.
Whatever. I mean, she's got a device built in that she can find. If she's been somewhere once, she can find it again and again and again. Me? No. So she took a different route. We went down Rampart, and I said, man, Rampart goes all the way to Henderson. We're never going to make it to the show. And she says, just be calm. And
he wasn't.
Yeah, when somebody tells you to be calm, the last thing you're going to be is calm. So,
but we're here, and we're so glad to be here.
Yeah, it was like a troop of cheerleaders doing backflips. I was going nuts. And so, anyway, I owe her an apology. And I love her with all of my heart. And she says, you just have to learn to trust me. And we've been married for so long, I figured I already had. But I just want you to know that
I know where I'm going.
She does. And it just drives me well, actually, we got here, so it doesn't drive me crazy. It drives me to the show. Glad to be here tonight. I've had a great week. I've been out making friends. I feel like Mr. Rogers, today or who's that guy that paints the pictures on PBS? And let's have a happy little tree and maybe just a little brook right here and a happy rock with moss on it. How can you be a happy rock if you got moss all over you? Anyway, I went to the Boulevard Mall this week, and I'll tell you what, I have not had that much fun since the day the pigs ate my little brother. I had more fun at the mall making friends, and I got to tell you about a couple of them because they were really fun. I met this one fellow. His name is
Percy Woods.
but he goes by P-Dub, P-or-Dub, and the guy is the most incredible man I've ever met. He has. Now, you got to wrap your mind around this one because I didn't know there was such a thing. He has barbecue soul food. I got to tell you.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he offered me some, and I said, well, really, I really haven't had soul food before. And he says, you're going to like this. And by the time I finished what he gave me, I was dancing like Michael Jackson and singing like the Temptations. I mean, I was so overwhelmed with this is good stuff. Hey, friends. Go to the mall, the Boulevard Mall over there on Maryland Parkway. Go into the food court and get some food from P-Dub's Barbecue Soul Food. I'm telling you, it's great. But here's another reason why I want you to do it, okay? You know how Leanne and I feel about our veterans. This man, Percy Woods, was decorated with the Bronze Star for heroism. In Vietnam.
That's pretty amazing.
I got to tell you, this guy not only put his life on the line, but he put his life on the line to help save others who had also put their lives on the line. I want you to go to the food court at the Boulevard Mall there on Maryland Parkway. I want you to go into the food court, and he's on the very end on the right side. You'll see it because he's got a big sign out that says P-Dubs Barbecue. And I want you to buy some soul food from this man, but I want you to tell him thank you for your service. Because of him, there are several soldiers who came home and have had families. So, my friend P-Dub, thank you so much for your service. And, hey, thank you for that food. It was absolutely incredible. Another friend I made, his name is Adnan Quadri. He is the owner of the Iceberg Diamond store. Just as you walk in the Boulevard Mall, there on Maryland Parkway. Yeah. Now this guy's really interesting. Do you know why? You want to know why he's interesting? Okay, I'll tell you. Because I can see some of you out there going, "Why is he interesting?" Well, the reason he's interesting is because every day he has an auction where you can go in and buy really nice-looking jewelry and auction it. I mean, I think that's absolutely terrific. Iceberg Diamonds. You got to go in there. You got to see the guy and tell him you heard about him on the Craig Levitt Show here on KDWN. I met another friend. This is so cool. See, when you get to be my age, I don't always remember my friends, so I keep meeting them time and time again. And I think I know a lot more people than I do. I think I know like 7 people 100 times. So anyway, I went down the back part of the mall there, the Boulevard Mall, and I saw a little shop. I thought it was a little shop. And it was called Urban Necessities. You ever heard of it? Urban Necessities.
What a cool name that is.
It really is. And I got to tell you, Cesar and JC, they run this place. These are 2 guys that had a dream one day that they wanted to have their own business. So they got their own business. And they do the neatest things. And I met them the other day.
What do they do?
Well, they've got, I don't want to say consignment shoes, but they handle consignment shoes, and they've got athletic shoes. Some of those are worth $3,000 a pair.
Wow.
You almost got to be a professional to afford them. And they've got all kinds of, well, I'll tell you what you got to do. You have got to just go in and see Urban Necessities. I can't tell you what they do all the time.
Okay.
Because they got so much more than I was able to see.
Okay.
I got to tell you, they are just the coolest guys. And here's what's really cool about them. And here's what's cool about P-Dub. They got people working with them. They have created jobs.
They've created a small business.
And they got people who come to work every day, earn a living, and take care of themselves. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know if you're ladies and gentlemen or not, so I'll just call you friends. Maybe you're not friends. I'll just call you people. I don't want to know if you're not people, okay? But these people are doing what the government cannot do but takes credit for, and that is creating jobs. I love these people.
That's the American dream, right?
Yeah, and that's the American spirit that empowers people to have confidence in themselves, because people like this are actually doing it. Okay, this one you're going to love. We were having tacos the other night. Tacos at a local taco purveyor. And I'm eating tacos, and there's this little girl there. Well, you tell them about it, Leanne. She was great.
She walked in, and she started cracking jokes and dancing. And I asked her, she was in pink, and I said, "Are you a dancer?" She said, well, her dad, whose name is Robert Gruenberg, said, well, she's a stand-up comedian. I think she was, 11?
10?
10.
And this guy, I'm going to interject just a thought. This was her dad. Do you have any idea what Robert Gruenberg does?
He lives in Las Vegas.
He juggles chainsaws while they are on.
And he was on The Tonight Show.
He was with Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show. He juggles chainsaws.
Now, I have
My wife won't even let me
operated
near
chainsaws.
ours. Yeah, she won't. We have a steel chainsaw, and it goes, and I say, can I do that? No, don't touch my chainsaw.
So this little daughter of theirs, his is named Julia Rose, and she is an actress, dancer, and a stand-up comedian. And we just met these two adorable people and told them we wanted to talk about them on the air on the Craig Levitt Show.
I asked the girl.
Living the American dream.
Yeah, I said to her, she's just a doll. And I said, how old are you? And she says, how old are you? I said, well.
He's way too old.
Well, yeah, I've been your age a million times. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. So go visit my friends, at the Boulevard Mall there on Maryland Parkway. Now, I have another friend. He's our guest tonight. This guy is so incredible. I met him indirectly through his wife. His wife, actually, I know through Beasley Communications, and we were talking a little bit about our show. And I remember last week we had Denise Kerrigan on. She's the homeschooler, and her son, Logan, who's a terrific kid, and I was talking to some of the people here at KDWN, and I said, I'd like to get people who can help us in our crusade for good education. And this lady said, wait a minute, I know somebody, my husband. So anyway, I thought, well, I'll give the guy a call. Because really I'm afraid of people that are that excited about someone, and if I don't. So I thought, well, I'll give this guy a call. But believe me, when you want to have a radio show, everybody knows somebody you just got to have on the show, right?
Yeah, and he's one of them.
So we went to meet with this gentleman. His name is Kyle Dellinger. Kyle Dellinger. And I met with him for about 10 minutes. Because he's so busy, that really is all about he could give about as much time as he could give.
It was a half hour.
Well, it went by like it was 10 minutes. Anyway, I want to introduce you to my friend, Kyle Dellinger. Kyle, welcome to the show tonight, and thanks for being here.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. It's a lot of fun. You guys are a crack up. Kind of remind me of my wife in about 20 years.
Okay, now I need to tell you something. When I don't like him for one reason. And I'm going to tell you why right off to get this off my chest. Every time Leanne and I have a guest on the show, people end up the next day telling me, wow, he had a great radio voice. Craig, you don't have a great radio voice. You sound like a grandpa. And, well, I am a grandpa. But he said, I'm just listening to him, and already I don't like him because you have a great radio voice.
He does.
Well, I have a face for radio anyway.
You got a face for television. I have a face for Braille. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about this man, why I have him on the show. Last week we had Denise Kerrigan doing homeschool, and I think that was a marvelous show, and we've had some great response from it. But Kyle has a business here in Las Vegas. In fact, it's global. Am I correct?
Correct. It is global, yes.
And it's called Tutor Doctor. And
What a name. What a name.
It is. And I could explain it all, but then why have him? And besides, I would not get it right, and he will. Kyle, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got into Tutor Doctor and what Tutor Doctor is all about?
Well, I'm actually a native of Las Vegas, so I grew up in the community. Went to all the public schools that we bash nowadays. I went to those schools 20, 25 years ago. Grew up here, loved the community. After college in Ohio, couldn't stand the winters, and I couldn't play golf 12 months a year, so I had to move back home to Vegas. And for the past probably 25 to 26 years, have been doing restaurants and have been very fortunate. My restaurant career was able to give back to our community that I love so much. I've been able to give back to a lot of different charitable organizations, Clark County School District being one, Boys and Girls Scouts of America being another. So I was just very fortunate that I was in a role of responsibility that I could do my responsibility as a community leader and give back to that community that I love so much.
Yeah, I think that, and we're going to talk about that more in the second half, but I have been familiar in my life, Kyle, with other kinds of tutoring systems. I did the first National Pages website for the Sylvan Learning Center, and I learned about them and what they do. But you're different. You're not a learning center.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about what Tutor Doctor does.
Well, Tutor Doctor, what we do is we are currently the #1 in-home one-on-one tutoring company in the world.
Now, I want you to just go back like you didn't just say that and say it again, because this is important, people. Get out your paper, get out your pencil like I have to tell you. Every week you should come to the show prepared. Okay, now say that again.
We are the #1 one-on-one in-home tutoring company in the world.
Okay, now, I'm so excited about that. Henry David Thoreau, if I mess up this quote, they'll kick me off the air, and that's okay because I'm really tired. But one day, Henry David Thoreau wrote, actually when he was describing the seashores, he said, "If a man is out of pace with his companions, perhaps he hears the beat of a different drummer. Let him step to that music which he hears, however different or far away." I'm so glad to hear. Education is about individuals. It's not about groups. And you focus on
The individual.
Yeah. On the one. Tell us about that.
Well, what we do is when we go out and meet our new families and talk to our moms and our dads and our students, we spend about an hour and a half in the home with the student, with the family, in a comfortable environment, finding out more about them as a person as well as a student. We do a few assessments to find out where they're at in comparison to their peers, their grade level, things of that nature. We do a couple of learning style assessments to find out how best they learn. And then from there, we're able to design a program around that student. Not a program that feeds to the masses, but a program for that student.
Now, when you say that, obviously, I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree. My wife is. She shines like the angel on top of the Christmas tree. Me, I just kind of flicker. But can I come and just volunteer to go out and do these assessments and teach these kids and do all that?
Well, you could, but currently what we utilize are certified school teachers
I love
here
that.
in Clark County.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm not certified to do anything except what my wife tells me. I have that on the wall.
That's correct.
So I can't be one of your teachers right now. You've got certified. Go ahead.
We do. We have certified teachers. Now, I always look for opportunities to get certified professionals to help teach different subjects because we do have adult students. We have students that are trying to get back into the workforce. We have adults that want to learn a new skill. So we are always looking for certified professionals to help with those different skills that maybe aren't taught in classrooms currently.
You know, I keep interrupting, and if you just want to tell me to shut up, you can, or just go like that, and they'll shut off my mic, and I'll just sit over here and go like that. But this idea of education for the one, that's what education is really all about.
It should be.
It should be, yes. Yeah. And the reason I got into this business really was I spend a lot of time in the schools already. So I volunteer in my kids go to public schools. I volunteer in my children's classes. I volunteer in their schools. I sit on a couple of committees at their school. I sit on some advisory committees for Trustee Edwards. I'm currently being approved by the State Board of Education to sit on the review team for the State Board of Education.
For the teachers?
For the teachers,
Wow.
yes. So I spent a lot of time in and around classrooms around the Clark County School District, in addition to students and children in my other endeavors that I do outside of that. And it was at that point when I got out of the restaurant business and I decided, what do I want to do next? Because I'm relatively a young guy. Mm-hmm. I would love to play golf every day, but I don't think that that's the best use of my time as a community leader. So I wanted to find my next endeavor to be something that I could really contribute to my community and I could really help people and help students and help our community get better?
I believe it was Benjamin Franklin. I haven't seen $100 bill for so long. I forgot who it was. But Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson were dialoguing the fact that an educated population was the greatest weapon against tyranny. Now, what I love that you do is that within the complex of education, within the honeycomb of the schools, there are individuals that are more important than the whole complex. And sometimes those individuals are passed by. Can I tell a quick story?
Sure.
When my dad was in the first grade, of course, that was gee whiz. The teacher read a story about a bear who had been walking on the frozen pond, and its tail fell into an ice hole and broke off. And so the teacher asked the children, "Why do bears have short tails?" And she asked my dad, "Don, why do bears have short tails?" And he says, "I don't know." So she said, "Well, okay, let's do it again." So she read the little thing again about the frozen tail broke off. Why do bears have short tails? And he says, "I don't know." And she says, "Are you stupid?" Well, my dad and my mom were phenomenally brilliant. And he says, "No." So she said, "Okay, you tell the story." He says, "Okay, there was a bear walking across a frozen pond. His tail got in the water, and it broke off, and he had a short tail." She says, "So why do bears have short tails?" And he says, "I don't know." And she said, "Is there something wrong with you?" And he says, "No, I know why that bear has a short tail, but I don't know why bears in general have short tails." I thought that was great. So individuals sometimes get caught up in the honeycomb and lose their individuality in education?
I would say absolutely 100%. Being around the schools as much as I am, it's tough for teachers. It's tough for educators. They have 25 to 30 students. Each of them learns differently. They're in a bad spot right now. They're in between a rock and a hard place. They want to give help to every single child, but at the same time, they only have so many hours in the day. So what my goal is to take what they're doing in the classroom one step further by identifying those individual needs, offering the individual help, and progress that individual student to whatever accomplishment and achievement they want to attain.
That's terrific. I mean, I just really am excited about that, because once you do that, then the individual in the honeycomb, or the bee in the honeycomb, becomes something more than a drone.
They get to make their own honeycomb.
Yeah, and they contribute
back to the community.
Yes.
And it's full circle.
Correct.
Yeah.
It becomes something that is a complete system of learning
and
giving.
My company, I don't want to be a therapist that you have to have for the next 30 years. Our ultimate goal is to get those students, whatever their issues are, whatever their challenges are, to a point where they can learn from themselves. They take all the technique that their tutor has taught them, and they can now proceed by themselves on their own and still feel the confidence that they did when they had someone next to them.
It is a self-confidence thing.
70% of all students that struggle right now in classrooms is because of confidence.
And I get so excited when I talk to somebody like Kyle, because he's in the trenches of this thing. He's fighting the battle. He's trying to do things with children's minds that will, even adult minds, that will make a difference. And I think you said something in a phrase just a moment ago, and I get so excited. I really should never be on the radio, But anyway, often tutors are considered therapists. That there's something wrong in the head, or you wouldn't need a tutor. So a tutor is like a therapist trying to untangle the spaghetti in your brain so that you can become functional. And I know that these learning centers don't mean for it to be that way. And I know that other tutoring organizations and systems don't mean for it to be that way. But you brought it up, and I thought it was a very cogent statement that kids, oh no, here comes my tutor, my therapist, because I'm dumb, because I'm unable to learn in school, I have to have extra help. So how do you do what you do without compounding the problem with self-esteem?
Very carefully.
Oh,
that's the. I mean, it's a very careful process, and it starts from our initial consultation in the home with the student and the family. It's learning the family dynamic. It is learning how little Johnny, little Susie interacts with their parents when I ask them a question. Are they looking for help? Are they looking for mom and dad to answer for them? What is the true motivation for that student? Every student has motivation. Every student has goals. So we need to get down to the bottom of what their goals are. Then we work backwards to figure out how do we get them to those goals. And all the while we need to build up their confidence and let them know that they're not stupid. There's nothing wrong with them.
That somebody cares.
Somebody cares. We care about them, and we want to help them and give them support that they deserve to go on and do whatever it is they want to do in life.
You know, I think that is so terrific. And I got to tell you, there's one thing before we break for news, and that is that kids are not taught today how to research and get answers. They're taught to use the electronic media and find quick, easy answers without having doing the thinking process. Hey, we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes when we come back. Again, my guest is Kyle Dellinger of Tutor Doctor, and what a treat it is to have him. We'll catch you right after the news. I'm so excited to be back with Kyle Dellinger of Tutor Doctor. Before we broke for the news, we were talking about the fact that kids are being taught to get quick and easy answers with technology. They do little procedures rather than learning the processes of mathematics and science and that sort of thing.
You mean they Google something rather than thinking for a moment about how to get there?
Yeah, and I think technology right now, we are in a new age. Even my generation, which is a newer generation than maybe your generation, we didn't have the technological advances that we do now. So technology can be a great tool. And I think we need to start helping develop our students in how to utilize that technology the proper way. Like you were mentioning, not just Google the answer, but let's figure out how Google runs to get to the problem, to get to the solution.
Yeah, my sister, now I don't think she's listening, but if she, she's just really smart. She went to university and she took an algebra class. And she took a test. I think it was a midterm. Anyway, it was a big test, and she got every one of the answers correct. But the teacher marked them all wrong because she did not use the processes that he had taught. She invented a way to do algebra faster, better, and easier. But she understood the concept of mathematics, and I think as I look at these smartphones, and by the way, I can't use them. That should tell you a little bit about, But these kids can get an answer like this without understanding even how this device works. What was the formula that it had to follow? What was the process it had to deal with?
Well, and I'm fortunate because my company, we use a lot of technology-based systems in our program.
Well, you have to nowadays.
We do have to. We have a current program called Tutor Doctor 24/7 that a tutor can access for free and go on there, pick out the subject matter that they're talking about, pick out the chapter that the student is studying in school,
wow,
create assignments, and then the student can log on at a different time from a different computer and finish those assignments and do practice tests And if they get questions wrong, then it refers them back to the subject in their textbooks to where they can look up how to do the problem. And this technology was all based and developed by teachers. And it goes in line with the Nevada Common Core education curriculum.
So you have the one-on-one initially, the assessment with the family, and then you intermingle the technology with the students' learning, with the tutor, and it all works together.
Yeah, and in between there, what I also do is I perfectly match a tutor with a student. So I don't just randomly pick a tutor. I find a tutor who understands the type of learning style that student has, teaches in a way that student can understand, connects with the student individually on a personal level, not just as a student. And I get all that information during the consultation when I'm learning about each family and the dynamic and that student and just everything I can in that hour and a half.
Wow, that's amazing.
I could go on this subject for 2 or 3 hours. I mean, and I want our friends out there listening tonight. If you go to the CraigLevittShow.com, I have a button with your name on it. And if you click on that button, you'll get his website and how to get in touch with Kyle. It's a great thing. Besides, I can use the hits on my website. So go to Craig Levitt, the CraigLevittShow.com. And by the way, if you want to hear a rebroadcast of this very show, you can do it on that page.
Or any of our other shows.
Yeah. Now, something that's near and dear to my heart, you can tell by looking at my hat, are the veterans. At P-Dub, his son is the chef back there. He's got a couple of cute gals that serve. I mean, it's a wonderful place. My heart always goes out to soldiers who went the extra mile, as he did, to receive the Bronze Star for heroism. Now, there's just a ton of veterans out there coming back from Iraq, coming back from Afghanistan, and from, I think it's called rotating out of the service. And some of these young men and women have been trained in military complex types of situations. I'm always concerned, and Leanne and I talk constantly about what can we do for our veterans, because all they need, most of them, like you said earlier, they came out of high school at 18, and all of a sudden, how am I going to support my family now? And
they've served 20 years,
yeah,
15 years.
But they're too young to not do something. What do you do for people like veterans who need to be reintroduced into a society that is just somewhat different than the military complex?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm very excited because a few weeks ago there was an awarding of a contract, a government contract through the Veterans Rehabilitation and Education branch of the Armed Forces, and Tutor Doctor was awarded that contract to allow us to provide 1,000 hours of tutoring over 9 states, so 9,000 total hours of tutoring to veterans who are coming back into the job force, who suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome, who were disabled during their time, who are homeless, who are struggling. The government has awarded that contract, and it's a $3.5 million contract, and we were fortunate enough to gain that, some of my other partners in other states. And since then, they've had such a great response to it that we just learned that they've added 4 more states to this and another $1.5 million to this program, and which now includes the state of Nevada. So I'm currently right now in the process of putting this all together. So we're gonna be able to offer 1,000 hours worth of tutoring in the state of Nevada to our veterans, which to me is phenomenal because my grandfather served, and I have a lot of cousins and friends that are currently in the military as well.
That sends chills up and down my spine and all the way to the top of my bald little head. I'm so excited about that, but I have another question for you. We have friends who are in the military, We have 3 of our kids in the military. But we do have people who are active duty National Guard or active duty. And now in the military, you can only get rank up to a certain point unless you earn an associate's degree on the college level. And so these career soldiers, they put in their time, but they can't get any more rank. They can't get grade until they earn that kind of a degree, an associate's. And so their problem is they've been out of school for 10, maybe 15 years. And
they can get no more rank.
Yeah, and all they've learned is military processes and procedures. Is there anything you can do so that somebody who is, a 15-year or so member of a National Guard or a regular Army or Air Force or any of the services can get tune-up classes, to where they can feel comfortable going back to college? And I'll tell you, it's intimidating to go back into a college algebra class with 18 and 19-year-olds, and the last time you were in school, they weren't born yet.
Yeah, no, I hear that all the time. I hear it's intimidating to go back to school. It's intimidating for me. I'm a 15-year soldier. I'm an infantryman. I can't get any higher, Kyle. What do we do? How do I attain my goals? We do a lot of adult education tutoring. I have close ties with UNLV, so I'm able to utilize my resources on campus to get tutors from college courses.
Oh, good.
They're professors. They're upperclassmen. They're people in postgraduate programs at UNLV. I utilize those resources, and we can get a tutor and we can get a help for any student, any age, for any subject.
And generally speaking, it's the math that these soldiers have a problem with coming back. It's the math that has frustrated them to where they don't want to go back to school. So if you can help them with their college algebra and their math subjects so that they feel comfortable going back into the classroom, then they can get that associate's degree. Then they can finish and get rank and complete some of their goals.
And the fact that you can do it one-on-one, I got to tell you that. People out there, do you understand how important that is for an adult who wants to get back and get an education? But you talk about low self-esteem, a mother who has been raising kids. Now the kids are raised and she wants to go back to school, but how is she going to compete? And there's this feeling of being disengaged from a process, and the fact that you can do one-on-one. I mean, that is so incredible.
And let's take it a step further. I mean, maybe you don't want to go back to school, but maybe you're a grandmother or grandfather who just got an iPad for Christmas and want to learn how to Skype with your grandkids. What if you just got a smartphone so you need to learn how to use Google Hangouts to talk to your grandkids or your kids who are in the military and serving?
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
Because that happened to you, Craig.
Well, you just mentioned that you don't have a smartphone, so I was just encouraging you and helping you getting the confidence to get one now.
What's terrible is I have a smartphone, but it's smarter than I am. So anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interfere. But thank goodness you're not just tied to school kids, that somebody, I'm just thinking anybody that would be worse off than I am, because intellectually I'm like a pumpkin, and that's a good time to bring this up. As far as cost and things that...
How much does this cost, Kyle? What are your...
You know what? You can answer that if you want, but I'd rather have them go to your website and contact you so that you can talk one-on-one to them. But anyway, Leanne asked a question.
And honestly, I mean, the answer isn't an easy one. I don't have a set... I can't tell you, it's going to cost you $500.
So it's an individualized situation.
Yes. Once again, I don't publish my
Good.
prices on my website because it's individualized.
Yeah.
I can't preach individualized learning and then give you a mass fee.
I gotcha.
Okay, those of you that, when I told you to get a pencil and paper, you did. Let me just tell you this. You can reach Kyle. I will give you his email. May I do that? I didn't ask you if
Please.
I could. But his email is KDELLINGER, K Dellinger, at TUTORDOCTOR.com.
Tutor Doctor.
Just like it says.
TutorDoctor.com.
I do have something I want to get into that's a little bit off the subject. We could go on for another hour and a half on this. Kyle, you're terrific, and we may have you back sometime. But I do have a concern, and that is now it's October. October is generally considered the beginning of the holiday season. And everybody looks forward to the holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and New Year's with eagerness. But come Christmas morning, not every child has the same enthusiasm about Christmas, and not every family has a Thanksgiving dinner. And for many, many families in our community, New Year's is just the beginning of another cycle of the same poverty and the same difficulty that they have been in. Leanne and I have been anxiously engaged in trying to find ways to give food to the hungry and help wherever we can. This is the beginning of the season for giving. This is the season when, yes, we start thinking subjectively about I want. But I think the fast track to receiving is giving. Now, we don't have a whole lot of time left. Forgive me, I'm going to cut you off from Tutor Doctor, and not because I want to, but because of the constraints of time. We only have about 12 minutes left, and I want to spend that time talking about something that you and I talked about at Starbucks and when we were having our initial interview, and something that I was really impressed with, and that is what you have done to give back to the community. You mentioned that when you were a restaurateur, but you are also involved on the board of directors of a major children's charity.
Yeah.
I'd like you to just take a second and tell us about your activities with the Speedway Children's Charity.
Yeah, I'm very proud of this organization and be a part of it. I've been a part of this organization now for almost 2 years, I guess. And our organization is designed to raise money to give away to charities. That is what we do. Last year, we gave away about $135,000 to different charitable organizations who submitted grant documents to our grant review team. And that is our goal. All of the events that we do, and we typically do about 3 or 4 large events a year, all the money that we raise, we give to local. It stays in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was going to
Local
ask
charities.
if it was totally local.
Yes. And we have an event coming up in October, at the end of October. It's called our PJ 5K 1K run. And all the money that's raised will go to local charities. Every year we do a grant ceremony out at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We're very fortunate with our partnership with the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We have Santa out at this event. We give checks away to all the organizations that we've selected to get grant money. We give checks away. Santa is there. We do a toy drive, so every child that comes out with those organizations gets a present for Christmas, so they have something to open up. I can't be more proud of my affiliation with this organization and the great men and women that volunteer their time. And that's what it is. We volunteer. All of us volunteer our time. There's about 20 members of the board, and we support this charity. We do everything we can. We use all the resources that we can. We're all executives. We all have friends. We utilize those friends, and we help this organization give money back to the community we live in.
See, and I mean, the board of directors of the Speedway Children's Charity is like a who's who in Las Vegas business. I mean, there's incredibly talented people that serve on this on the board of directors of this organization, of which, of course, Kyle, you are one. And we're not real big on entitlement packages. We're real big on help packages and getting people what they need to to take care of themselves. But children didn't choose to come into a poor world. A lot of the things that children suffer, they suffer not because of anything they've done. And so we're mindful of kids, and we love kids, and we love our veterans. And I just I'm rambling, aren't I?
No, you're not. You're
passionate.
You're passionate.
Yeah, you're passionate.
Let me tell you, I've got kids, and
from a young age, we as a family would get buckets.
You know, these plastic moving type
gray buckets.
Gray buckets.
And we would put an entire Thanksgiving dinner in one of those buckets.
Well, yeah, but not just Thanksgiving. We would give enough food to last the holidays.
The whole holiday. And we would go anonymously deliver these throughout the communities where we've lived. So our children grew up knowing what that felt like. And for us to be a part of a community, we feel like we need to give back. And for those folks in Las Vegas and the surrounding area, you need to start looking at how you can give back this time of year as we begin this season.
I couldn't agree more. As a matter of fact, you know, meeting the both of you, I'm happy anyone calls and enrolls in our service. Getting back to Tutor Doctor real quick, anyone calls and enrolls in our service, I'm going to give 10% of those total proceeds to whatever charity you designate, Mr. and Mrs. Levitt.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So whatever I can do. And then getting back to Speedway Children's Charities, a couple of events that we do have coming on that, if you don't mind me.
Please, go ahead.
The PJ 5K, that's going to be November 23rd, not in October. So November 23rd, it'll be out at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. You'll be able to either run a 5K or walk a 1K, and it'll be all through the glittering lights.
Oh, how cool.
It is a great event. We also have a Feed the Children program coming up where we have purchased food trucks that are going to feed 800 local families.
Wow.
Isn't that something? And
that's feed a family of 4 for a week.
Wow.
Every single family. So those are a couple of events that we're really excited, and I agree with you 100% that we have to get our children involved in things like this. Anytime I do an event.
Do you take your family?
Yes, I take all 3 of my children. My wife supports it as well. We, as a matter of fact, we're out next week at the Red Bull races out at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. My family and I are going to be handing out American flags.
Oh.
In exchange, that organization is going to donate $2,500 to Speedway Children's Charities.
Great.
So I'm happy to get out there anytime and every time I can.
Now, my friends out there, if you go to the CraigLevisShow.com, get on my website, we have the Speedway Children's Charity page on a button. You just push on the button and all this. I suspect all this will come up.
Will all this information be there?
Yes,
okay,
it's all there.
Good.
Okay.
I just think, and my friends out there, I hope you have gotten a feeling for Kyle Dellinger. I mean, he's a very ambitious, aggressive businessman. He's been in business for, as long as...
Quite a while.
Yeah. I don't want to say much more, but except he's a lot younger than I am, so just so you know that. But rather than just working a hard 8, 10, 12-hour day and then going home and putting his feet up and relaxing.
He gives back to Las Vegas.
He just keeps on going. I can tell you, His wife is a wonderful support system for him. She is not one whit behind him. She is as enthusiastic and as excited about all of the things that Kyle is doing, and
that's why we had Kyle on our show, because of his wife.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the support of my wife. I mean, it's been phenomenal, and she was actually the one that inspired me to get into Tutor Doctor.
Wow.
She did, and we are a small business. We're part of a global company. We're a local franchisee. We are a small business, and what we really take to heart is it's not enough to make a buck. You have to make a difference.
Wow, I want you to repeat that.
It's not enough to make a buck, but you have to make a difference. You have to.
I mean, I think that's
called integrity.
America was created on the theory, and it was only a theory then, that anyone who wanted to could enjoy what was called the American dream. That idea was kicked around a little bit, but there was something about America that made people want to come from Europe and other countries to experience, and that still happens. And somehow what we have to do is what you just said, Kyle, and that is infuse not only the desire for money and worldly things, but to make a difference, so that America continues to be, here I go on my soapbox again, I'm sorry, but America can still be America if we've got people like you, Kyle, who it's not just about the bang of the buck, it's about making a difference. I've got about, 2-3 minutes left, Kyle. I'm going to let you say whatever you want to say to wind up your appearance on the Craig Levitt Show. You got a couple of minutes. I just want to hear what you have to say.
Well, first I want to thank the both of you for allowing me to come on and talk about Tutor Doctor and the different charities that I'm involved in. It's always a joy to speak to people who are passionate about some of the same things that I am. So it's been a real thrill. And once again, I want to encourage all your listeners, anyone who calls me, will come out and talk, anyone who enrolls in the program, I want to give 10% of the total receipts, not just the net profit, but the total receipts, total sales, back to your favorite charity, whatever that may be.
Thank you very much.
Now, it's my pleasure, and whatever we can do to help the community is what I'm here for. So,
that's just it's been such a thrill to have you here. I hope that we can rub shoulders again. We support you, you support us, and so we're gonna bump into each other. But I think that we have the same concept. I think we share the same philosophy, that the spirit that empowers Americans is the dream that they can achieve if they just believe in their dream. And you do a great job in helping all that come to pass. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us tonight on the Craig Levitt Show. Next week, we have Andy Anderson with us, and you're going to love him. So for Craig Levitt
and Leanne Levitt
and Kyle Dellinger,
we want to wish you a very good night.